welcome. Tonight we're heading deep into the winter wilderness, exploring some really unsettling tree stories. We're looking at those times when the quiet of nature is broken by something. Well, something terrifying, often human.
Yeah, these are accounts from people who ventured into remote places, expecting solitude, maybe facing the elements, but instead they encountered something far more disturbing.
We've gathered several of these chilling experiences. Our focus isn't just the scare factor, though. It's about what happens in those moments. The fear, the decisions, the survival.
Exactly, how people react when faced with a threat, whether it's immediate danger or that slow burn paranoia.
And we'll build towards probably the most shocking story, one involving a camper who offered a welcome, a simple kindness, only for it to end in, well, unimaginable violence, a true betrayal. Okay, let's start with a situation of direct, unavoidable confrontation. Imagine this. A solo survivalist, middle of winter. He's hiking into this narrow, steep valley.
Already a bit isolated, right? And he mentions feeling like the place itself felt off, like it was already claimed.
And that feeling, it was spot on. He looks up maybe 50 yards ahead on the trail, and there's a man just standing there, completely still.
Still as a statue.
Yeah.
And holding a civilian AR-15. At the ready.
Yeah, not slung over his shoulder, like ready. And the hiker, the narrator, his immediate thought wasn't aggression, it was fear about his own gear. He had a shotgun.
Right, the fear that if his shotgun even slipped or if he shifted wrong, this guy would see it as a threat.
Exactly. He described the man as, well, gaunt. Filthy clothes, mismatched, sunken, dark eyes. Like he hadn't been part of our world for a very, very long time.
That image is chilling. It speaks to someone operating completely outside normal bounds.
So the hiker's survival instinct kicked in. No sudden moves. He just started backing up. Slowly, deliberately, trying to seem as non-threatening as possible.
It's that calculation, isn't it? Don't run, don't challenge, just de-escalate by retreating. Show you're not a threat to whatever this person is guarding.
He backed away until he was out of sight, then got out of there, reported it to the sheriff later, but never heard anything back.
And he never went back to that valley. Can't blame him.
No way.
Right.
Okay, so that's an immediate armed threat. Now let's shift to something a bit more insidious. A situation involving vulnerability and that creeping sense of danger. Two teenagers.
Yeah, 16 and 17 years old. Camping alone by a river. That alone puts them in a potentially vulnerable spot.
Their first encounter seemed almost normal. A guy carrying a fishing pole asks if he can cut through their campsite.
Seems innocent enough on the surface.
But then he starts asking questions. How old are you guys? How long do you plan on staying out here? A little too probing, maybe.
Yeah, gathering information, testing the waters.
Hours pass. Then the same guy comes back. But this time he's got a friend with him.
Okay.
And here's the key thing. Neither of them has any fishing gear this time.
That's the discrepancy. The reason for being there fishing is suddenly gone.
Exactly. They just start walking around the campsite, not really talking to the teens, just looking, sizing things up, looking at their gear, looking at them.
That's incredibly unnerving. The shift in behavior is the alarm bell.
And the teenagers, they both felt it instantly. Like at the same time, this shared gut feeling, danger.
That instinctive threat recognition, they knew, didn't they? They knew these men realized they were young, alone, probably unprepared for trouble.
Totally. They didn't wait, didn't talk about it. They just started packing their absolute essentials, grabbed their stuff, and bolted. Ran off into the dark woods.
That immediate action, trusting that gut feeling, likely saved them from something terrible. That's proactive threat mitigation right there.
Definitely. Now, let's move from immediate flight responses to situations that build a kind of psychological dread, paranoia, maybe stalking.
Right, where the threat isn't necessarily right in your face, but it's lingering, affecting your mind.
There's this account from a guy who went deep into north central Pennsylvania. He was specifically looking for total solitude, miles from anyone.
Seeking isolation, but finding signs of, well, someone else's recent strange presence.
He finds this campsite. It's clearly been used very recently, but it's a complete mess. Food wrappers, first aid kit stuff, clothes just scattered around like someone left in a huge hurry.
That suggests panic, maybe, an unplanned departure. But then there's another detail.
Yeah, the toilet paper.
Yeah.
Piles of it, suggesting someone had actually been using that exact spot for maybe 2, even 3 weeks.
Which is odd, right? In deep wilderness survival, you generally don't stay messy in one spot for that long. It attracts animals, it's not smart. So a long stay and a messy, sudden departure, it doesn't quite add up.
But that wasn't even the weirdest part. Nearby, there was this structure made of metal.
The cave.
Yeah, about 4 foot square, like a cube, welded together, sort of crudely. But here's the thing, it had no door, no opening at all, just a sealed metal box.
Out in the middle of nowhere? What do you even make of that? It's baffling. Purpose-built for... It's deeply unsettling because it lacks any obvious purpose.
It's disturbing. And this hiker, he actually decided to camp near this site. His reasoning was, well, hiking out in the pitch black felt even riskier than staying near this creepy cage and messy camp.
That's a tough choice. The known weirdness versus the unknown dangers of moving in the dark.
He spent the whole night totally on edge. Said he kept hearing faint sounds, like footsteps or movement far off in the woods. Couldn't shake the image of that cage.
That psychological torment, just the idea of what that cage could represent or who built it would be enough to ruin any sense of peace.
Absolutely. Now, let's take that feeling of being watched, that paranoia, and amplify it. 3 friends on the Pacific Crest Trail, the PCT, near Donner Pass.
Famous trail known for its remoteness and sections.
They just finished a massive hike, like 19 miles, exhausted but feeling good. Set up camp, got a fire going, celebrated.
Earned rest, but he gets interrupted.
Yeah. This strange man walks into their camp. The description is very specific. Missing teeth, maybe some jaw trauma. He had a slight limp, clothes were dirty, and his eyes, they describe them as small, beady, black as coal dust.
Wow, that's a vivid and unsettling description. Ari sets off alarm bells.
He sits down near their fire, uninvited, and asks them, want to hear a true story about 3 hikers, just like you guys, right here on the PCT.
Okay, that's creepy. Starting a story by mirroring them.
It gets worse. The story starts out okay, but then his tone shifts. He starts getting contemptuous, insulting, calling the hikers in his story sissies and queers, really aggressive language.
That's hostile, not just a story anymore.
And then the terrifying part. He starts describing specific things these 3 friends had actually done earlier that week. Private moments. He mentioned them howling and hollering by a specific lake, days before, miles back on the trail.
Wait, how could he possibly know that?
Exactly. That's what they were thinking. How did this guy with a limp keep pace with them over like 70 miles? Or was it someone else watching? His family, maybe. It implied they'd been under surveillance for days.
That is pure psychological terror. The realization that your private moments weren't private at all, that you've been watched, followed.
They finally challenged him, like, how do you know this? And he stops the story cold, just stares at them.
The mask drops.
And then he implies he's not alone. Says he has cousins waiting in the darkness. And that they have enough firepower to send the hikers off to the big sleep.
A direct threat, veiled but unmistakable.
They didn't need to hear anymore. They grabbed their stuff and fled immediately. Left their camp, everything. Walked for miles in the dark, just trying to put distance between them and that man.
And did they hear anything?
They said as they were leaving, they heard footsteps fading back into the woods, following the direction the limping man had gone. Like his cousins were really out there.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling. The woods suddenly feel very, very crowded.
It really changes your perspective on solitude, doesn't it? Okay, so we talked a lot about human threats, but the wilderness itself holds immense power. Sometimes the danger isn't malicious, it's just indifferent.
Yeah, nature doesn't care about your plans or your well-being. It operates on its own scale.
Take this story from the San Juan Mountains in Colorado. An RV camping trip. Sounds nice, but they got hit with a massive snowstorm. 4 straight days of heavy snow.
And severe avalanches too, right? That's a dangerous situation in the mountains.
They realized they were getting trapped. The snow was piling up. Avalanche risk was extreme. Their last way out might soon be blocked entirely.
So decision time. Got to get out while they can.
As they're frantically trying to get ready to leave, they hear it. First, the roar of a huge avalanche somewhere across the valley. A massive slide.
Okay, terrifying sound in itself.
But then, immediately after the roar faded, they heard something else. A single sound echoing. A scream.
Oh no.
They described it as the most blood-curdling scream they'd ever heard. Just pure fear and pain. And then it just stopped. Abruptly cut off.
Silence after that.
Complete silence. They said they knew, with absolute certainty, that someone had just died. Caught in the slide. Crushed. Buried. Something horrific.
And nothing they could do. The snow, the conditions.
Yeah.
Impossible to even know where it came from precisely.
Exactly. They were helpless. All they could do was try to save themselves, carrying the weight of knowing what they probably heard.
That's a heavy burden. Later, when they did manage to get out, they saw the devastation, right?
Oh, yeah. Avalanches had literally changed the landscape. One had apparently rerouted part of the Colorado River. Whole sections of the highway were just gone. swallowed by snow and debris.
It shows the sheer raw power we're dealing with out there. Nature can literally wipe the slate clean.
And it can turn on you personally, too. Not just big events like avalanches. Think about hypothermia.
A very real, very insidious killer in cold environments.
There's a brief but potent account of a camper who got separated from his friend Jake during a sudden blinding snowstorm. Whiteout conditions.
Easy to get disoriented fast in that.
He lost his bearings completely. Then the cold started getting to him. First the shivering, uncontrollable shaking. Then the mental effects kicked in.
That's the dangerous part. Hypothermia doesn't just make you cold, it messes with your brain.
He started getting confused, vision blurring, and then hallucinations, seeing shapes moving in the trees, shadows that weren't there.
Classic signs of severe hypothermia. Your body is shutting down, your mind is playing tricks. People sometimes feel hot, paradoxically, and start taking clothes off. It's often fatal at that stage.
He realized how bad it was. He couldn't really walk properly anymore. He ended up crawling, just dragging himself through the snow, desperate.
Just survival instinct at that point.
And then he saw it. A faint golden glow in the distance, a ranger station. He crawled all the way to the door and basically collapsed against it.
Just made it.
He knew absolutely that if he'd been out there even one more hour, that would have been it. Game over.
A stark reminder of how thin the margin for error is in those conditions. Respect for the environment is paramount.
Which brings us, unfortunately, to our final account, this one. This is where the human element returns with brutal finality. It's a true crime case.
The convergence of wilderness solitude and inexplicable violence.
We need to talk about the murder of Dustin Mitchell Yome. He was 35 years old, described as a father, an outdoor lover. He was solo camping near Big Sky, Montana. This was October 2024.
Relatively recent, and a popular area for outdoor activity.
He had a check-in time arranged with a friend. When he missed it, the friend went looking for him and found him deceased inside his tent.
Tragic discovery, and initially there was speculation about the cause, right?
Yeah, given the location, a bear attack was considered a possibility. It happens.
Plausible, sadly.
But the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office investigated thoroughly. The autopsy results came back, and they ruled out any animal attack. No signs of bear activity at the scene.
So what did the autopsy show?
It revealed what were described as multiple chop wounds, severe trauma to the skull. The official cause of death was ruled a homicide, a brutal one.
Chop wounds. That suggests a heavy blade, like an axe or machete, not something typically associated with wildlife.
Exactly. The investigation led them to a suspect, a 41-year-old man named Darren Christopher Abby. He was arrested, and police say he confessed to the murder.
Okay, so they have the person responsible, but the motive. What makes this story particularly chilling, tying back to our theme?
It's the context. According to reports based on Abby's confession, Dustin had actually encountered Abby near his campsite, and Dustin, he welcomed him.
He was hospitable.
Yes. He offered Abby a beer, a simple gesture of friendliness, of shared humanity in the wilderness. You know, standard camper etiquette almost.
Extending trust.
And Abby's response, apparently almost immediately after accepting this kindness, was to attack Dustin. The reports mention him using a piece of wood, then a screwdriver to stab him in the neck, and then an axe to inflict the fatal chop wounds.
That's horrifying, utterly senseless. The speed of that betrayal, from offered kindness to lethal violence.
It's the ultimate breakdown of that unspoken code. You offer help, or at least politeness, in the wild, assuming a basic level of shared decency. And here, that trust was met with extreme, unprovoked violence.
It underscores the terrible reality that sometimes the greatest danger isn't the environment or the animals. It's the person you least expect, the one you might even try to help.
It's a stark, brutal end to our exploration tonight. So we've covered a lot, from armed standoffs and unsettling surveillance, to the raw power of nature, and finally to calculated, violent betrayal.
The common thread really is vulnerability. The wilderness strips away societal safeguards, and you're left facing threats, both environmental and human, with only your instincts and preparedness.
These stories aren't meant to make you afraid of the outdoors, necessarily.
Yeah.
But they are a reminder that awareness, intuition, and sometimes immediate action are crucial.
Recognizing those discrepancies, trusting your gut, understanding that not everyone you meet out there shares the same respect for boundaries or even for life, that's vital knowledge.
If these accounts gave you something to think about, if you found this deep dive valuable, we'd appreciate your support for the channel.
Yeah, please hit that like button, maybe share the story if you know someone who might find it interesting or useful.
And definitely subscribe to Horror Docx. We explore these kinds of unsettling stories, trying to understand the darker edges of our world.
Thanks for joining us. Stay aware out there. Watch your surroundings. Always. Critical thinking can be your best defense.